That shipping in this afternoon, and we should better get that job done, get it out of here by tomorrow for 2 or 3 o'clock. Hey, you finally spent some money, got a haircut, did you? You start looking like a shaggy dog there for a while. Look at this new coveralls. Hey, you made a stop at the Gap. Way to go there. Looks really sharp. How's that complexion? Working on it? Scrub-a-dub-dub. Looking pretty good this morning. Hey, look at this. You know what? She's still got the hots running. She's the reason I come to work every day. Whoa! Ho, ho, 3 days in a row. Way to go there, buddy. Yeah, it's always wondered whether he's going to show up or work or not. You know what, John? They still love me.
Sir, you have no idea.
Have you ever noticed in your organization that there's any sarcasm that's used? Yeah, there's a bit of sarcasm that's used in many organizations, some more than others, The reality is, this is a clear link to what the definition of sarcasm is. Right? The definition of sarcasm is where the tone that you deliver the message is not the same as the underlying message. So if I say to Bill, for example, let's say that I'm talking to Bill about attendance issues or punctuality or something, and instead of just saying, hey Bill, I really appreciate that you were here on time today or every day this week. I appreciate that. Thank you. It really makes a big difference to the team. All right? That's pretty straightforward. But if I do it this way, hey Bill, what? You're on time for 3 days in a row? What's going on, man? Good for you. Different tone. What's the underlying message to Bill? You're a screw-up and you just happen to get it right for a change. The other way, I'm more likely to be tapping in to his motivation when I say, hey Bill, I really appreciate that you're here on time every day this week. Makes a big difference to us getting the line running. Thank you. Right? That's going to make a big difference to the person. I had a gentleman who came to me for some personal coaching. One of the other things that I do is I do coach individuals, especially executives, on how to get a little bit more effective. And it became clear when I asked this person, and he'd done quite well. He'd risen up the ranks in his organization. And but I said, you know, do you use sarcasm with people? He says, oh yeah, I use sarcasm with people. I said, okay, so how does that show up for you? Well, he says, people come into my office, they'll bring me a problem. I'll just kind of, you know, jokingly sort of prod them or attack them with the problem a bit by being sarcastic. I said, so what does that mean? Well, it usually means the meetings are pretty brief and they kind of go out with the tail between their legs and hopefully do what I ask them to do. I said, well, how does it show up at home? Well, he says, well, I've got a teenage daughter and we always have this sarcastic banter going on back and forth. I said, so, and he wasn't home a lot because he had to travel. He says, yeah, it doesn't really help my relationship with her. I said, so here's an experiment. Just for the next week, I want you to not be sarcastic. I want you to avoid sarcasm and simply just deliver your messages straight the whole week, at work and at home, and see what happens. So for the next week, he did that, and then we met again. I said, so what happened? Well, he says, well, first of all, people didn't know how to take me because they said they were so used to me having a sarcastic comeback that they were, you know, kind of puzzled when they were listening to me. But he said what I did find is that people were more forthcoming with information. They would tell me what was going on. They would explain themselves a little bit more. They weren't as defensive because they know that they got a sense that I wasn't going to be attacking them or making fun of them. I said, well, how did it show up at home after you'd stopped doing that? Well, he says one thing was my daughter was a lot less sarcastic with me. So I wasn't as sarcastic with her, she wasn't as sarcastic with me, and I actually felt that we had a better connection than we had before. I said, okay, that's interesting. So the key learning point with sarcasm is that sarcasm, it's good for lightening things up a little bit when you're just talking about general things. Have you ever noticed, though, when some people are sarcastic, that there always seems to be maybe a little hint of truth in the joke that they're trying to make? And it's very easy for people who are uncertain about themselves, or almost anybody who has a little bit of doubt in their confidence, to find that that sarcastic thing can really drill down and affect them. So what we found is if you go into a culture of an organization and you find that there's a lot of sarcasm used in the communication, what you find is that the relationships are very shallow. Because, you know, if I go golfing with my buddies, and golf is one of my passions, if I go golfing with my buddies and all we do for 5 hours is cut each other up, and that's probably a good 2/3 of it anyway. But if we don't have little side conversations every once in a while about how the family's doing or what's going on in the job or something else, the 5 hours would feel wasted, and I don't think that we'd get together as often. So by all means, the sarcasm can be good for a little bit of fun, but just realize that in terms of the workplace, we would have a much better leadership relationship with people if we cut back on the sarcasm quite a bit, if we just delivered the information in a fairly straightforward way.